Businesses are really starting to buy into Bitcoin. Just over the past couple of weeks, we have seen a lot of companies come out and say, hey, we're in on this Bitcoin thing. We are stacking and we are going to have a Bitcoin reserve. I expect this trend to continue with all the bullish sentiment out there, with the price rising, the prospect for the Bitcoin regulatory environment. I think companies are going to want to get a piece of the pie, and it's awesome to see. So that is what we are going to be talking about in this video. We're talking business level game theory. Before I do get into it, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube. Really appreciate your support. We've seen a number of companies come out and announce a Bitcoin strategic reserve over the past couple of weeks. Some of these names include Genius Group, Acurx Pharmaceuticals, Hoth Therapeutics, Thumbs Up Media Corp, and Solidion Technologies. And the reason they're doing it is because it's smart. We've seen what has happened with MicroStrategy over the past 3 or 4 years as they have stacked Bitcoin continuously, borrowed more money to stack Bitcoin. And I actually just made a video on MicroStrategy. It's on my channel, so go and check that out. But other companies are watching this and they're realizing, hey, why aren't we doing this? This is the best performing financial asset over the past 15 years. Why don't we have any exposure? So as more and more companies continue to do this, allocate to Bitcoin, and the price goes higher, it's just going to incentivize more and more companies to do the same thing. And I think once companies start to get a little bit of exposure, they're going to want more, right? A lot of times when people, companies, countries get into Bitcoin, they start with a little bit. You know, they dip their toe in and they see how it goes. They see their purchasing power increase, and then they say, hey, I want more of this asset. Eventually, all entities get to the place as they get more exposure, as they learn more about the asset, where they think, I want as much of Bitcoin as possible. And maybe we'll start to see more companies take a note out of MicroStrategy's playbook and not just take extra capital and invest it into Bitcoin, but start borrowing fiat, borrowing dollars and other currencies to buy more Bitcoin. If individuals, companies, countries are borrowing fiat, borrowing dollars or whatever other fiat currency they may use and buying into Bitcoin, this is really going to speed up the Bitcoin adoption process. If the whole world is shorting fiat and buying into the new, better money, then we are going to see things move really fast for Bitcoin. And that's something I was really thinking about this morning that I hadn't thought about a lot before. What if the whole world just starts to copy this MicroStrategy strategy and we just see everyone shorting dollars, shorting euros, shorting pesos, and Bitcoin's value just skyrockets. Its price skyrockets against all these fiat currencies. Here is a chart of MicroStrategy stock performance over the past 5 years. On July 28th of 2020, MicroStrategy came out and said, hey, we are starting to buy Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. And ever since then, they haven't looked back. They've continuously borrowed more money and bought more Bitcoin. And since they made that announcement in July of 2020, we've seen their stock go up 3,601%. We've seen MicroStrategy transform from a small software company into one of the most popular companies in the world just by putting all their capital into Bitcoin. And I guess they're doing a little bit more than that, right? They're going the extra mile with this borrow dollars and buy Bitcoin strategy. I want to provide another example here. This chart shows Semler Scientific, which is a company who announced that they were doing the same thing, not to the same extent, but buying a lot of Bitcoin, having a Bitcoin treasury for their company. They announced this on May 28th of this year. This chart shows the past 6-month stock performance for Semler Scientific, and the stock has gone up 124% since they made this announcement. We are going to see more and more companies copy this strategy as it really creates a positive feedback loop. As a company, if you buy Bitcoin, when the price of Bitcoin goes higher, you have more people investing in your company, which leads to your share price heading up, which means you're incentivized to buy more Bitcoin, and then the Bitcoin price continues to head higher, more people invest in your company, and the cycle continues. And once we get some big companies like Microsoft, maybe, who announced that they could be buying Bitcoin in December or laying out that strategy, that is going to drive this business level game theory even faster. So, really, this is inevitable as companies who invest in Bitcoin are just going to outperform every other company who does not. Now, I recently made a video on nation state game theory, and really, whether you're a country or a business or an individual, just a guy like you or me, the thesis is the same. You buy Bitcoin because it's the best performing asset and you want to have exposure to the best performing financial asset in the world. This isn't rocket science. If Bitcoin is outperforming everything else, then you're going to want to get a piece of it. But there are some differences when we look at the optics of a business making this announcement or a country. If you're a country, you may not want to make this announcement because you have a lot more capital than most businesses. And if you make that announcement, it could really drive the price up higher. You may be incentivized to keep the price a little bit lower so you can buy more of the asset. Now, if you are a business, you kind of have to report the assets you own and what you're investing in anyway. And you're also trying to attract investors. Countries want to attract investors and capital as well, but I think the way that they do that is a little bit different. If countries want to attract capital, they want to attract Bitcoin and businesses to their country, they can do that by creating a friendly regulatory environment, by having low taxes for Bitcoin holders. Yes, stacking Bitcoin as a country is going to help, but really you want to create an environment where Bitcoin businesses want to come there, where capital wants to come to your country. If you're a company, you can just announce that you are stacking Bitcoin and you'll probably see your stock jump over the next couple of weeks. So it's a little bit different when we look at the incentives for nation states and companies. Companies may be a little bit more incentivized to make a public announcement, whereas nation states may want to keep things on the low a little bit. That wraps it up for this video. I think that we are going to see more and more companies start to stack Bitcoin. It is inevitable. Every entity on earth is incentivized to stack this asset. If you didn't like and subscribe, please make sure to do that now. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.